Good evening. This is CSI Team 3, and this is our investigation on the tragic death of Mr. Brandon Morlin, a 70-year-old substitute teacher at Harupa Hills High School. This incident has sent a shockwave through the community, and tonight we bring you our detailed account of how we put together the events surrounding his untimely death. On the morning of December 4th, we were called to Harupa Hills High School after Mr. Morland's body was discovered on the second floor near the bathrooms between the G and J wing. Witness Miss Perez, who found him at approximately 7:30 a.m., described the horrifying moment she realized he was unresponsive and called for help. Mr. Mora, another teacher, contacted 911 and stayed with Miss Perez until the first responders arrived.
Our first responders secured the scene upon arrival at 7:50 a.m., taping off the area and beginning initial interviews. The victim was found lying face up with an apparent abdominal wound.
He was found with bruising around the neck and signs of hemorrhaging in the eyes. We had conducted interviews with several staff members to establish a timeline and identify anyone who might have seen or heard anything suspicious. Miss Perez, who discovered the body, stated she was on her way to the staff copy room when she saw Mr. Morlin lying motionless. Mr. Morrow, who heard her scream, corroborated her timeline and assisted in calling 911. Other teachers arriving to the school, Mr. Ariano, Nahara, and Mrs. Polito, described noticing the commotion but did not witness the crime itself.
At the scene, we gathered fingerprints, analyzed the broken glass, and documented the positions of personal items to reconstruct the events leading to the victim's death. The bruising on the neck and hemorrhaging are consistent with strangulation, while the abdominal wound points to the use of sharp objects. These findings were critical as we worked to narrow down potential suspects.
Armed with warrants, investigators searched the school premises and examined the evidence collected at the scene. Fingerprints and DNA samples were cross-referenced against databases to identify any potential matches.
We have a warrant for Mr. Nahara to show us a sample of his writing. After discussing with Mr. Nahara, we got a sample of his handwriting, and it seems like his handwriting is kind of similar to a note we found at the crime scene.
We also got a sample of Mrs. Perez's handwriting, and it seems similar to the note that we found at the crime scene.
Although we don't have a lot of evidence, we believe that Mr. Nahara is responsible for Mr. Morland's death. In his statement, he had stated that he spoke to Mr. Mora and who told him that Mr. Morlin was found dead. He then said that he had talked to Mr. Ariano, Mr. Hara, and Ms. Polito and shared with them that Mr. Morlin had been murdered. Mr. Nahara's fingerprints matched the ones that were found at the crime scene. The sample of handwriting he gave us also matches the handwriting that was found on the note at the crime scene that states, "Stop asking for more money or else." With this evidence and information, we believe that Mr. Nahara is responsible for Mr. Morland's death.